Have you ever felt exhausted, confused, or even deeply hurt after interacting with someone? Have you ever wondered why you always feel manipulated, belittled, or pushed into a spiral of doubt and self-doubt? If the answer is yes, it's very likely that you have encountered someone with narcissistic traits. They are people who always seem to shine, attracting all eyes, but deep inside is a fragile, easily broken ego. They live by feeding that ego with admiration, by controlling and manipulating others. And when you can no longer meet those needs, they are ready to push you into chaos, make you doubt yourself, and even destroy your self-esteem. But you are not alone. In today's video, we will unravel these complex psychological knots together. We will learn to recognize the signs of a narcissist, understand their subtle manipulation tactics, and most importantly, equip ourselves with specific strategies to protect ourselves, maintain our self-esteem, and find peace in our souls. This is not just a fight against external manipulation, but also a journey of discovering and strengthening your own inner strength. Because when you understand them, you will understand yourself better. And from there, you will find true freedom. Let's embark on this challenging but meaningful journey together. Let's learn how to confront narcissists, not with hatred or resentment, but with understanding, compassion, and above all, love for ourselves. Narcissists possess a frightening ability to identify and exploit the kindness, empathy, and generosity of others. They do not seek an equal relationship. Instead, they turn you into a pawn in their own chaotic game. Today, we will uncover the sophisticated tactics they use, and more importantly, how to protect yourself from these toxic individuals. Before we delve into the details, if you find this content helpful, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Also, don't forget to share this information with friends who might be trapped in a relationship with a narcissist. One of the most notable characteristics of narcissists is their ability to hide their true weaknesses. They may fabricate touching or tragic stories about their past, deceiving you into believing they are opening up to you. While you sincerely share your life, they construct a false veil of secrecy. This allows them to gather enough information to manipulate and hurt you later, while you have nothing to use against them. When you confide in them about your difficulties with colleagues, they will remember and use that information to attack you at unexpected times. They might intentionally bring up their ex, knowing it will drive you crazy. Their goal is to push you to your limits, causing you to lose control and ultimately submit to them. Beyond just exploiting personal information, narcissists have another cruel tactic, turning your genuine shares into weapons to attack you. They will dig deep into your weaknesses and hidden pains that you have confided in, making you feel guilty and ashamed of yourself. For example, when you open up about a complicated relationship with a colleague, instead of listening and understanding, they might coldly respond with comments like, "Maybe your colleague was right. Perhaps the problem is you." They will plant seeds of doubt in your mind, causing you to start questioning yourself and blaming yourself for the troubles in your life. They will repeatedly remind you of past mistakes, decisions you once regretted, leaving you drowning in feelings of guilt and failure. Their goal is not just to hurt you in the present, but also to sow seeds of negativity that you will carry as a psychological burden forever. This tactic is particularly dangerous because it directly attacks your self-esteem. When you are constantly criticized and blamed, you gradually lose confidence in yourself and become dependent on the narcissist's approval. You begin to feel unworthy of love, undeserving of happiness. Another heartbreaking sign of a relationship with a narcissist is their complete disregard for your opinions, interests, and needs. They turn you into a faded shadow without a voice or value. The things you love, your burning passions, your closest friends, all of these become meaningless in their eyes. If you want to go to the beach, they will deliberately take you to the mountains. If you're craving a burrito, they'll drag you to a sushi or pizza restaurant. They even find a perverse pleasure in denying your simplest needs, just to see how long you can endure before breaking down. This disregard is not just a mere lack of interest, it is a sophisticated form of manipulation. By constantly dismissing your opinions and preferences, they aim to weaken your spirit, making you doubt your own worth. They want you to believe that you do not deserve to be heard or respected. Gradually, you will feel like a prisoner in your own relationship. You will start to censor yourself, suppressing your desires and needs to avoid conflict. You will live in a world where everything revolves around the narcissist, while you are reduced to nothing more than a lifeless ornament. Additionally, one of the most frustrating tactics of narcissists is their skillful evasion of responsibility. When you try to confront them about their unacceptable behavior, they will never admit fault. Instead, they will deftly divert the conversation, presenting valid reasons to justify their actions. They will dig into the past, bringing up mistakes you made long ago, even if they are irrelevant to the current situation. They might say things like, "But you did this or that first," or "I was just reacting to what you did." Their aim is not to resolve the issue, but to make you feel guilty and insecure. They want you to believe that you are the one at fault, that you deserve to be treated poorly. By constantly reminding you of your past mistakes, they are trying to manipulate you into being too afraid to stand up for yourself. This tactic is particularly effective because it preys on your insecurities and feelings of guilt. When you are repeatedly reminded of your past errors, you start to question yourself, wondering if you are indeed the one to blame. You begin to feel that you have no right to complain or demand respect. Ultimately, one of the most ruthless strategies that narcissists use to maintain power and control is to launch a preemptive attack. They understand that the best way to avoid criticism or facing consequences is to make you seem guilty first. They will not hesitate to hurl baseless accusations, tarnish your reputation, or even fabricate stories to make you appear as the wrongdoer in the eyes of others. They might spread false rumors, sabotage your relationships, or even threaten you so that you are too scared to speak out. They may also betray you first, whether it is by cheating, lying about money, or committing any other deeply hurtful actions. In doing so, they leave you feeling bewildered, distressed, and unbalanced, making it difficult for you to focus on protecting yourself or confronting them. This strategy is particularly effective because it creates a grossly unfair reversal of roles. You, the true victim, suddenly find yourself accused, needing to defend and prove your innocence. Meanwhile, the narcissist plays the victim, acting hurt and wronged. This puts you in a defensive position, robbing you of the ability to protect yourself and resist. You may feel confused, angry, and powerless against the baseless accusations. You may even begin to doubt yourself, wondering if you really are the one at fault. To deal with narcissists, the first technique is to minimize their influence on your life. When a narcissist starts interacting with you more frequently, you may quickly notice that they always try to capture your full attention. Whether you are aware of it or not, they will use subtle tactics to make you unconsciously focus on them. This can happen by creating situations where you feel compelled to respond or feel the need to please them, to maintain peace or avoid unnecessary conflict. Imagine you have a colleague who frequently comes to you for help with their work. At first, you're willing to support them, seeing it as part of a team spirit. However, gradually, their requests become more and more unreasonable. From asking you to do their work for them to requiring you to stay late to help them finish tasks. Every time you refuse, they show disappointment or even make snide remarks about your competence or dedication. Slowly, you start to feel pressured, doubt yourself, and try to do everything to please them. This is when you have fallen into the sophisticated trap of a narcissist. Stoic philosophy offers us a useful tool for dealing with such situations, focusing on what we can control. Stoics believe that while we cannot control the behavior or emotions of others, we can fully control how we respond to those situations. Applying this to the case of dealing with a narcissistic colleague, it is essential not to let them manipulate your mind and emotions. Remember that you have the right to refuse unreasonable requests, and you do not need to feel guilty or ashamed about it. Do not let their subtle remarks or negative attitudes affect your self-esteem. Instead, focus on what you can control, your own actions and thoughts. Set clear boundaries and stand firm in protecting them. Communicate directly and confidently, explaining why you cannot meet their demands. And most importantly, do not let them make you doubt your self-worth. In romantic relationships, particularly for those who are sensitive to spiritual matters or coincidences, a narcissist contacting you just when you are thinking about them can cause confusion. You might wonder if they can read your thoughts. The truth is, they do not have any superpowers. They are simply trying to harass you continuously. They send messages and make calls relentlessly, to the point that, statistically, there will be times that coincide with when you are thinking about them. Narcissists will use every means to get you back. They might ask your family or friends to influence you, recounting their suffering in your absence. They may show up at your workplace, follow you, or even camp outside your home, putting pressure on you and causing embarrassment in front of others. Dealing with this harassment can be particularly challenging when you are still uncertain about your decision to break up or are in a vulnerable state after escaping their control. You might feel guilty about involving the police, but remember that their pain does not justify their harassment. To free yourself from this exhaustion, block all contact from them. Block their phone number, messages, and even change your number if necessary. If they show up at your home, do not hesitate to call the police. You have the right to protect yourself from harassment and reclaim peace in your life. In a relationship with someone with narcissistic personality disorder, it's inevitable that you will often be blamed and feel like you're at fault. They are masters of manipulation and twisting the truth, making you doubt yourself and accept their unreasonable accusations. But always remember one crucial thing: you are not to blame. Narcissists will never take responsibility for the hurt they cause. Instead, they will find every way to shift the blame onto you, the circumstances, or anyone else but themselves. They may use sweet words and caring gestures to convince you that you're the one with the problem, that you're the cause of all the trouble. They may bring up your past mistakes, exaggerate them, and turn them into evidence of your incompetence or irresponsibility. For example, if you express dissatisfaction with them constantly coming home late without notice, they might turn around and blame you for being too sensitive or not understanding their work. If you forget to do something, they won't hesitate to criticize you as irresponsible or unreliable, even though they often make similar mistakes themselves. Their eloquence and overconfidence can make you waver, causing you to start doubting your own perception. You might wonder if you're truly too sensitive, too demanding, or too selfish. You might feel guilty and ashamed and try to do everything to appease them to prove that you're not the person they're portraying you to be. To understand who a narcissist is and how they operate, you need to pay close attention to their words and actions. Narcissists are often very good at making promises but rarely follow through. They may promise you repeatedly, painting beautiful pictures, but their actions always contradict what they say. To identify a narcissist, observe if they frequently break promises, if they ever make commitments but never fulfill them, and whether they try to make excuses or evade responsibility. A typical example is in the workplace. If you have a narcissistic colleague, they might promise to complete a portion of the work assigned to them so you can proceed with the next step. But instead of keeping their promise, they delay, make excuses, or even blame you for the incomplete task. They use promises to keep you close and create the impression that they are reliable. But in reality, they are not. This can make you feel frustrated and lose trust, while also allowing them to keep you within their control. However, you should absolutely not retaliate by becoming someone who makes empty promises like them. Doing so only reinforces their belief that their habit is normal and acceptable. Instead, you need to uphold your values and ethics, and not let yourself get dragged into the vortex of empty promises. Remember that narcissists tend to use words to control and manipulate the emotions of others. So, when you respond in kind, you only help them strengthen their belief that their method is effective and can be used again. A better way to deal with a narcissist, especially if you have to work with them, is to set clear conditions from the beginning. Make sure that any work you do for them comes with a clear condition. I will do this task if you complete your part first. In this way, you not only protect yourself from being taken advantage of, but also establish clear boundaries, forcing them to take responsibility for their own work. For example, if you are working on a joint project with a narcissist, and they frequently miss deadlines or fail to complete their part, try saying, "I'm willing to help you finish this task, but first, I need you to complete the assignment you were given." This is not a way of refusing to help them, but rather creating a fair agreement where both parties must contribute and be responsible. Another method to deal with a narcissist is to maintain objectivity and emotional detachment. Narcissists are often very skilled at putting emotional pressure on others, making them feel guilty or responsible for the narcissist's negative emotions. For example, if they show anger or disappointment when you decline their request, stay calm and do not overreact. Do not let their emotions dictate your behavior. Remember, you are not responsible for others' feelings, and you don't need to change your plans just to please them. Another example is in everyday communication. Suppose you have a friend or family member with a narcissistic personality. When they talk to you, they may try to control the conversation by constantly talking about themselves and asking you to agree or affirm what they are saying. In such a situation, you can cope by not letting them lead the conversation. You can clearly state that you also have your own opinions and do not need to agree with them in every situation. More importantly, when dealing with a narcissist, you need to develop a clear strategy to protect your mental well-being. Regularly remind yourself of your personal values and goals, and do not let others' words or actions shake your confidence and motivation. Remember that you have the right to refuse unreasonable requests and the right to protect your mental health. When you start to speak up and establish boundaries, a narcissist will not hesitate to react by making demands in exchange for what you want. This is a common tactic they use to maintain control and their dominant position in the relationship. They understand that your concessions provide them with the opportunity to continue manipulating and controlling you. For example, If you ask them to respect your private time, they may immediately demand that you do something for them as a trade-off. They might even ask you to make further concessions on issues that were previously agreed upon. However, their response does not stop at making explicit demands. They will also attempt to draw you in by creating a sense of guilt, making you feel responsible for their emotions and happiness. Some narcissists will create dramatic scenes, portraying themselves as pitiable victims, so you feel they deserve sympathy and forgiveness. They will try to make you believe that if you don't do what they ask, you are causing them harm or distress. For instance, if you refuse to help them with something, they may accuse you of being insensitive or indifferent to their struggles, or even cry and blame you to make you feel guilty. For narcissists, creating a sense of responsibility or emotional debt is a powerful tool to control others. They know that when you feel guilty or think you owe them something, you become more easily manipulated and willing to concede. They might remind you of the times they helped you in the past, exaggerating those instances into grand sacrifices to make you feel indebted to them. The deeper you fall into this sense of responsibility and emotional debt, the more you become controlled by them, making it harder to break free from their grasp. To handle this situation, you must prepare yourself mentally and firmly maintain your stance. First, it is important to clearly recognize that there is nothing wrong with establishing and maintaining personal boundaries. This is your right, and it does not mean that you do not care about others. Protecting your space and freedom is entirely justified. Once you have set boundaries, make sure you adhere to them consistently. If you back down or waver, the narcissist will immediately sense this weakness and continue to push forward. For example, imagine you have a close friend who shows narcissistic tendencies. You notice that they frequently ask you to change your personal plans to accommodate their needs. At first, you agree because you want to keep the relationship harmonious, but then you realize you're losing control over your time and autonomy. One day you decide to set a boundary and tell them clearly that you will no longer change your personal plans to suit them. Immediately, this friend might react by asking you to do something else to compensate for your decision, as if you were at fault. They might even act hurt, seeking your sympathy by sharing tales of the hardships they are enduring, making you feel indifferent or selfish. This is when you need to be prepared not to be drawn into their emotional games. Remember, refusing to change your personal plans does not mean you do not care. It simply means you are protecting your rights and needs. You can hold firm by making it clear that you understand and empathize with their situation, but this does not change your decision. Narcissists are very good at pushing boundaries and advancing their agenda. If you take one step back, they will immediately take a longer step forward. This is why maintaining your position and not giving in is so crucial. You must always remember that a narcissist will not stop until they get what they want, and any concession they make is only a temporary tactic. They will keep trying different strategies to draw you back into their cycle. To deal effectively, you need a clear and steadfast strategy in maintaining your boundaries. Another way to deal with a narcissist is to maintain emotional distance. Narcissists often exploit the emotions of others to achieve their goals. By ensuring that your emotions are not influenced by them, you can view the situation more objectively and make rational decisions. This does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling, but rather not allowing your emotions to be controlled by them. For example, if they show anger or disappointment when you refuse their request, stay calm and do not overreact. You can clearly and logically communicate that you understand their feelings but remain firm in your decision. Finally, to effectively handle a narcissist, you need to constantly remind yourself of your values and personal goals. Do not let their words or actions shake your confidence and direction. Remember, you have the right to refuse unreasonable requests and protect your mental health. This not only helps you stay away from their manipulation, but also helps you maintain your autonomy and personal dignity in every situation.